Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another DCOA tutorial. My name is Joan Turner. I'm the resident artist at the Drake Council on Aging, Drake on Mammoth Road, 951 Mammoth Road in Drake, Mass. Okay, the awesome people there have asked me to do some tutorials for you, and I am more than happy to do so. Okay, so we've done a number. I think we're on like number 15 or 20 right now. So the good folk there really have your best interest at heart. We keep you busy during this time. Okay, so today's tutorial is going to be cow. All right, so this cow, it inspired by something. This I saw it online. All right, so I'm like, so many people like cows, and this is a really cutesy cow and has some cool sunflowers in there as well. Okay, so we're going to do cow, and what you will need to do that is this picture. Okay, so if you DCOA is handing out art kits. So if you don't already have one, give them a call, see if they have any left, because they have a limited number that they give out to do these tutorials. And they have acrylic paints, brushes, canvases, which is what you will need. You will need a canvas, okay? And I have a big 16 by 20 canvas here that I'm going to paint on. But the truth is that you can use any size canvas board, or anything that you want to paint on, you can paint on. All right, so you will need a surface to paint on. All right, and like I said, in this case, this is a big 16 by 20. I think the canvas packs, the art packs, uh, this is a good look. So anyway, the canvas, the art packs that they're giving out, there are some big canvases. All right, I don't know if they're 14 by 18s or 16 by 20s, but that's fine. And for those of you who are just kind of painting along and kind of doing your own thing, like I said, any size is fine. A canvas board, canvas, stretched canvas is fine. All right, and of course you want to have some a source document. So for those of you who have the paint kits from Drake It, that picture will be in the kit. All right. The other things that you will need are palettes to put your paint on, or in this case, paper plates. All right. So I have about two or three of them here because I'm kind of messy. I don't admit it to too many people, but if I have to, I'm a little bit messy. Okay. So the other thing you will need is brushes. Your paint kits should have a small, medium, and large brush. Okay, so whenever we kind of do these, usually you want a large brush to kind of do the background work, and some of the smaller brushes to do a little bit of the detail work. Okay, so you want to have those. And for all you that have your own art supplies and whatnot, you can have out as many brushes as your heart desires. You are the creator. Speaking of, you are the creator. Thank you guys for calling me. 978 is my cell phone number. Leave me a message. Let me know when's a good time to call you back if I don't answer. All right, but if you have questions about the paints, about the canvas, about anything about the tutorial, absolutely call me. And the other thing that you cool folks are doing is sending me pictures of the work that you're doing. And I'm so excited to see those. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. To do this picture, you will need yellow paint. You will need orange paint. If you don't have orange paint and you mix red and yellow together, you will get orange paint, okay? So if you don't already have it, you actually could mix it and put it in put it in a bar, an airtight container so that you will have orange when you want it. So any of you who have the basic painting kits, they have, as far as I know, if I remember correctly, they have the three basic primary colors, which is red, yellow, and blue. And they have some of them have secondaries like green and whatnot, but I think they all have like black and white in them. But from the three primary colors, you can make any color you want. If you want purple, you mix red and blue. If you want green, you mix red and no, green is blue and yellow, sorry. If brown is red and green. Okay, so you can mix any, you can make any color you want. So as long as you have at least the primary colors, you can do that. And for those of you who are going out and supplying your own paints and doing your own thing, get yourself some secondary colors and make things easy. Okay, so we said yellow and orange, and we said black. If we didn't, we're saying it again now. Okay. Um, White, of course, and blue, white and blue, because we're going to have a sky. And I have two different kinds of brown here. All right, one is a burnt sienna, which is kind of a warm brown, and the other one is kind of a dark brown. Okay, again, if you don't have these colors, you can add a little bit of orange or yellow to the dark brown, and it'll make this kind of warmer brown, right? If you don't have brown at all, then you can mix red and green and come up with brown, right? So again, you know, do your thing, and see what happens. Doesn't have to come out like mine or anyone else's. It has to come out like yours. Okay. So I'm going to move these out of my move move these out of my way. All right. All right. I just maybe had too much chocolate today, which is never the case. You can never have too much chocolate. All right. So we have plates, we have paint, we have our canvas, we have our source document. You always need lots and lots of paper towels. You will need water. Okay. Don't put your water in drinking cups because if you actually have a drink with you and you're very focused on your picture, I have in the past picked up, a cup and drank it and it was like paint water, right? Which is not fun to do. So put your hot cocoa in one place and your water in a totally different receptacle. Okay, if you're painting in your art room, like my art room, okay, I don't need to cover the surface of my table because it's already covered with lots of like many layers of paint. All right, it's my art studio. If you're painting on your living room table or any place that you don't want to get paint on, cover it. You can cover it with plastic. You can cover it with cloth. Plastic is better. The dollar store sells plastic tablecloths for $1. I would also cover the floor because a lot of times when you're painting, little spots get here and there. Okay. The floor that I have in this art room is a new floor and it gets paint on it often, but I made sure it was the type of floor that I can actually use just a little magic eraser and actually comes right off so far, knock on wood, so far. So, so grab your hot cocoa and let's go, babies. Let's go. So I am going to reposition this camera so that you can see what I am. Okay, so it's hard for me to paint sideways, so I'm going to see if we can manipulate. Hey, hey, hey. All that noise you hear is me knocking stuff over, which I do often. So, see here. That. Oh, this is a camera knife. Let's move the cocoa. Let's move. This is in my arm is a big 8 by 4 foot table because students come in. Hold that on. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and readjust. Okay, and I found an art sponge on the table, okay, which is always fun. I like finding art materials. Okay, so again, let's look at our source. Let's see. Oh, that's not too shabby. Of course, now I don't know. Let's do this sideways You think by now I'd have this down pat. All right. And if I move this back a little bit, you can see the whole canvas. Okay, but cocoa, I have it. Owie, owie, owie. And our cocoa is hot. All right. So again, look at your handout. We're going to do the sky first. The sky here is mostly white with a little bit of blue in it. All right. It's a very pale blue. You can make it more blue if you wanted to. We did make mine blue in there. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm taking one of my plates here, and I'm going to put quite a bit of white out this way. I want to actually be able to see what I'm doing here so you know. Okay, so these paints are acrylic paints, so you do it yourselfers that are going out and buying paint or having it delivered to your house. These are acrylic paints. Okay, so I'm putting quite a bit of white out here because I want to do the sky, which is going to take up half my canvas, or maybe even a teensy bit more. So quite a bit of white. And as I said, this picture has some bluish grayish stuff going on. It's really kind of on the light side, which is very cool indeed. But I make mine a little bluer because I want it. I want it. Okay, so the blue is a stronger color, so you're not going to need as much blue as you're going to need white. Okay, there is a teensy bit of purpley color out here, so you could put a little red in there, which I don't think I have red out. So let me go get some. Go get some red paint, and using red with my blue will give me a nice shade of purple. Okay, so I just got some red paint here, and I'm just gonna put the paint has a tendency to dry around the cap. Just pull those little spots off of there. Okay, so teensy is a bit of red. Okay, it's gonna blend itself and give me a little bit of purple. I'm gonna take my biggest brush, okay, which you should have. It's a 1-inch brush. I'm going to take most, like 3/4 of the white and put it over here. So I want to save some white for some of the cloud that I see in there. And take a little bit of the blue and mix it right in with the white. Now, as you're mixing, mix towards the middle of your puddle, okay? Some people mix and they get it all over the plate, and then they don't have enough to actually paint with. Okay, so kind of pull it in towards the middle here, right? So that you have, now this is a very light, it's actually a very light blue. And again, I want to come about halfway. So I'm actually going to give myself a halfway point here. And again, this is a little bit bluer than the handout, but like I say, I wanted mine to be a little bit bluer. So I've gone just a little below halfway here. Okay, so keep your strokes nice and wide and smooth. Okay, nice, wide, smooth strokes. Okay, if you start doing one of these, and it's not wrong for you to do that, but your strokes, if you want a nice smooth sky, then you want to do that. You want to do nice and smooth. And much paint as I put out there, I do believe I'm running out of paint already. Okay, see, here's my paint here. Maybe we'll see. We'll see. I'm not going to make it. Just not gonna make it, baby. Okay, let's see. Yes, Jill. Okay, so I'm gonna take a little bit more of my white, a little bit more of my blue, mix it. Okay, let's get it on here. If it's not an exact match, let that be okay. Okay, go. Okay, nice and smooth. And we're going to go all the way to the top, obviously. And the other thing that I really like to do is do my edges as well. Okay, now, if you've seen some of the other tutorials, and by now, I'm hoping that you have, certainly. Um, the reason to do this is it just gives me the option of framing or not framing a picture. If you have a picture where the subject matter goes off the sides here like this, then you could actually hang it, just put some hanging hardware on this and just hang it without a frame. Okay, if in fact you leave the edges white, then you must frame, right? Because it will look very funny if you do not. So take a look and make sure that your entire canvas, or at least from here up, is covered with paint. You shouldn't have any raw canvas or canvas that has nothing, no paint, nothing on it. All right, that should not be the case. You want to take a look, and if this is a little uneven, that can kind of be okay too, because as I'm looking at this background here, it's not just totally smooth. Okay, but I do want to look at it and make sure. I'm looking for raw canvas or raw spots here, and I think I see one right there. Okay, so I'm just getting more paint and painting over that. Okay, so now I'm going to just pick up some of just the white and just kind of put in some white areas here. Gives us a little bit, of cloud. Okay. Now, if I'm moving too slowly for you, don't go ahead of me. All right, wait for me, because this should be done from the back forward. And if you do it the other way around, you'll run into a little bit of problem. But conversely, if I'm moving too quickly for you, stop the recording and finish what you're doing, but don't go ahead of me. Okay, just so you'll know what to do. Okay. So here I'm just getting a little bit of cloud stuff going on here and there, because as I'm looking at this little guy over here, he has some white fluffy stuff going on behind him. All right, and you'll remember that I put a little bit of red out in my palette, and I'm just going to take and put it on the tip of my brush, and at the very top of my canvas, I'm going to blend it in with the blue. All right, and that's going to give me a little bit of purple. And if it's not quite purpley enough, we can do a little bit of blue and red here, and that definitely makes purple. Okay, so we can get a little bit of darker out here. Right? Let's get this on here. Okay, now acrylic paint dries relatively quickly. Okay, so don't put it on there and then just leave it there. Okay, work with it. Work with it, baby. So I want to blend in my edges here. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm liking that, and I'm going to take once again a little bit of red and a little bit of blue in here. I'm going to come up with purple. That's a very deep purple. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of my white and just get some darker shades going on up here. Okay, makes our sky a lot more interesting, for sure. Okay, you can do your edges. I'm going to brush this out just a tad. I'm going to take some of my white and just run it along my edge here because I want to blend it into the sky. I don't want it to look like, just a dark, dark patch here. Okay, I want to blend it right into my sky. So I'm kind of liking that there. I'm kind of liking that there. Yeah. Let's smooth this out just a tad more. Nice, nice. I'm going to take a little bit of this dark and just touching my brush to it. I'm going to put a little bit right here in the middle because I kind of have it on my edges. So let's bring it inside here. And what I'm really getting is this kind of, if I look at this handout, I like this little bit of dark going up into the sky. It gives a nice contrast. Gives us a nice little contrast up here. Cool. Okay. So again, if I'm going too slow, wait for me. Don't go ahead of me. If I'm going too fast for you, pause the recording. Okay. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can pause it. If you're watching this on Drake It TV, thank you, Ron. Ron Zimmerman, Drake It TV. He's our guy. And he's our guy at Drake It TV. And Tara Slinger is our lady at the VA Bereka Access TV. And these folks put an awful lot of effort into bringing these programs to you. So thank you to them big time. Okay, so look at your background here because we're getting ready to move on to the foreground. All right, and so before you do that, take a look at your background. Make sure it looks just the way you want it to look. All right, because if you're going to make any changes, now is your time to do so. Okay, so I'm going to put my brush in my bowl of water. I actually have 3 bowls of water. Okay, um, because I usually do the first bowl is I swish in that one. And it has the most paint on it. And then I go to my second bowl. Okay, this line right here, I'm going to kind of, well, I thought I was going to get rid of it, but like I said, it dries, the paint dries very, very quickly. So let's just put a little, right? So what I'm doing right now is I have a very frayed kind of edge thing going on here. So I thought I would just cover it a little bit. So while I'm letting this dry, right, we're gonna just, and I'm just letting it dry just enough. All right. So again, making sure that it's what you want there, because like I said, we're gonna kind of move on to what's going on down here, and I think typically, I might just paint the cow and the flowers on there. But because a lot of us don't have a lot of experience here, I think we'll draw right on the canvas. Okay, we'll put some guidelines right on our canvas, right? So if you have a watercolor pencil, that would be awesome. Okay, if you do not, a regular pencil is fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and find a pencil, grab your pencil, and after you've let this dry just enough so that you get some pencil lines on it, you're going to look at your handout. We're going to kind of make a really big cow because he's the focal point of the picture. So I'm going to make a circle here like this, and then bring it down like this, and then do the snout. Okay. And then we want to just get her ears in. So we're doing a very sketchy sketch of her. All right. And this part of her head where the head comes out and then goes in, that's where her eyes go. And we want a nice, big, fat, abundant cow. So we're going to look at her body over here. And it's kind of like right under the eye. So we're going to kind of put it there. All right. And I know you probably have a, maybe you can see my sketch lines. Maybe not. Okay, so if you need to halt this, go ahead and halt it. And I think what I will do in the meantime, just kind of outline this a little bit in paint so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to take my smallest brush and let me see if I can find a really smallish brush here. This is a really smallish brush. All right. So even though you do not have to do any sort of an outline, I mean just use a pencil sketch, but I'm going to go ahead and outline this a little just so you can see it. Um, I'm going to take some of my black and I'm going to mix it with lots and lots and lots of water so I don't get a really heavy line. Now, again, this is not something I would normally do. I just want you to be able to see the shape of my cow. Okay, so she's kind of, can you see that? You can see that. All right, so let's do her shape. And she comes down like this. Okay, so just kind of a rough sketch here so that we can see. And again, not something I would typically do, but like I said, for the sake of this tutorial, I think we should do it. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw her in, and I think I made them. All right, so if in fact that's the case, and it is, I'm just going to take a little bit of water and take it off of there. Okay, that's the nice part about acrylic paints, certainly, is that while they're wet, you have a little bit more flexibility with them. When they're dry, that's a whole nother story. And if I didn't tell you already, make sure that you wear paint clothes, okay, when you're painting, because once the acrylic paint does dry, then it's permanent. I have my art clothes on now, and I have bleached them several times already, and I can tell you that the paint does not come off. Okay, let's. All right, so take whatever time you need to get your guidelines on. Okay, and then once you have your guidelines on, piece of cake, baby. Okay, so very lightly here, drawing, uh, drawing in my cow. Okay, and again, you do not have to do this with your black paint. I'm just doing it so that you can see. Okay, do not outline your cow in black paint. Just put some pencil lines on your paper. The eyes are at the part of the face that comes out like this, because her face kind of does this and then comes in again. Okay. So I'm just looking at my own lines here. Right? She has, I know that there is a word for what this white starry thing is in the middle. I just don't know what the technical term for it is. So if you do, by all means, let me know. I know with a horse, it's called a, well, maybe I don't know. So I was going to say with a horse, it's called a splash or a something. Have a student who rides horses, and she tells me what all these things are. Okay, ears. Okay, again, ears are pretty big. Okay, we're making a pretty big cow head here. But again, she's the focal point of the picture. So let's do her good. Let's make her big. Okay, let's see if I can get a little darker here for you. There we go. That might work. All right. So here's her head and her ears, certainly. And you can make her face actually bigger if you wanted to. Okay. Now her body, if you look at her hand at this really close, she has a body here and here. Okay. And if you can't see it really good, it's kind of under, it starts under this eye, kind of. Whoops. I did not mean to do. Okay. So again, a little bit more flexibility when the paint is wet. Yeah. Okay. And this part of the cow is actually going to be white, so you keep it really light here. Okay, so that's her bodacious body. And actually, maybe it comes out even takes a bit more here. Let's bring it way out here. Okay. Same thing with the other side. Let's bring this body out here like this. Okay. So now you can see how big she really is. And there's a darker area that comes here. And I think it's where where her chest is. But it's kind of hidden. Most of it's hidden by the flowers now. Okay. So this is probably the most challenging part of this picture, is to just kind of get her on there. And as I say, um, you know, stop the recording if you need to, but let's get her on there. And then we can go ahead and actually paint her, I think. And we'll put the flowers on last because they are in front of her. There is one kind of behind her, and maybe we should acknowledge. Okay, let's acknowledge that little baby back there. Because as I'm looking at this, she has this one is behind her, this one is behind her. So let's go ahead and just make it's not really huge. I'm going to put that behind her and another one behind her over here. And all I'm doing there is circles, okay? Part circles, right? Because she's in front of this one. She's also in front of this one, but this one also has another flower in front of it. Okay. So one of the things that I really think is cool for students to do is to actually look at their handouts. All right. Look at your handout almost more than your painting or drawing surface. So let's go ahead and start her. Okay, she's going to, let's go ahead and do the white parts of her first. And if you look really close at this, the white parts aren't all white. There's a little kind of brownish colors in there. I'm going to go ahead and use another palette. Okay. And again, I'm going to put white on here. mostly white because not only is this part of her white, her snout, or whatever this is white, and we also have her body, which has white on it as well. So let's do the white parts first. So I'm going to get enough white on there. And at this point, I want to put some browns out because I don't want her to be just pure white. All right, this is a burnt sienna. Burnt, think warm. Think burn, warm, fire, warm, burnt. Okay, if you don't have something like that, use a regular brown. Okay, use a regular brown. Okay, or whichever brown that you have, like this. And then you can add a little bit of orange or yellow to it. And that will warm it up really nice, nice, nice. Okay, so if you look at this handout, she actually has like a little mop of hair on her head. But right now, we're going to just do the white part. So switch over to your medium brush, okay? And then in this part of her, just paint her white. Paint her white here. Okay. Okay. This brush, yesterday I was using it and it came out of its holder. And I'm not one to throw away supplies unless I absolutely have to. So I actually glued it back in. And that was yesterday, but it's still a little tacky here. But this is one of my favorite brushes, so we're gonna live with it. Live with it, Joan. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry too much about my black outline because we're gonna put black over it. And that was one of the reasons that I chose to outline in black for you, because I knew that parts of her would be black. Okay. So we want to, if you need to use your small brush to get into these smaller areas, by all means do so. Okay, because we want her to be looking good. Okay, so I have some nice smooth brush lines in here. So she's going to be really happy at me. So we probably could use a name for our cow. She's a Drake-it. She's for the Drake-it Council on Aging. So we should give her a name. Any suggestions? Let's see here. You could call her Kala, the cow. Would be all right. Not very inventive. Okay, I am going to take a little bit of this nice kind of warm brown here and add just a touch of it to my little cowgirl. Right about here, I see a little bit of color on her, then kind of comes down here a little bit. Okay, and there's a little bit more going on around here. Okay, so just kind of blending it in a little bit. Let's blend this baby in. Woo. Okay, so got some up there, which I'm not really wanting up there. but we can put some down here. That would be okay. That would be okay with me. So I'm looking for my paper towels. Put that right here. And so I'm going to take all of the excess paint off of the brush, right? So I'm not really washing it, just taking the excess paint off, but I wanted to kind of blend in some of this. It kind of looks like off-white or a tannish color in here, but I want to get this nice white area back to white here. So if in fact you do something similar, don't panic. You can always fix it. You can always fix our little girl. Okay, she has a little bit of color right in through here. Let's put it in there. Cow, cow, cowie, cow. She's looking good. She's looking good, that little girl. Okay, so the other thing that we want to be white is her body. And again, we can put some of this awesome brown, very light brown color in here. Okay, so I am going to take this right up against that line here and paint her body. Okay, let's come right up against that line. All right, we don't want it necessarily to show in our finished drawing. Okay, I'm going to pull this down this way and into the bottom third of my canvas here. Okay, let's cover here. This, pull this in. Again, I'm going to pick up a little bit of this off-white color and just give her a little bit of shadow here, your little bud, a cute little bud. There she goes. She's good. She's good. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Oops, dipped in my brown. It's good. Good. So let's put that there. Okay. So I like this kind of off-white color. It's better than just your she has this white area on her, but you can give it a little bit more interest if you give it a little bit more color. Okay, so let's continue on this side here. This, this, okay. If you need to, um, you can just pick up the canvas, put it in your lap. Your hand needs to stay in its comfort zone when you're doing something like this. So let's come right up against here, like so. I'm going to look back at my picture because I think this goes all the way to this here, like this, go around here. And again, I'm just going into the bottom third of my canvas. Okay, let's just put that right there. So we finish her bodacious body. We're going to call her Noelle. Noelle works at the center. Noelle, Noelle might take exception to the fact that we're naming the cow after her, but Noelle is actually very fit and beautiful. So, and I think that this cow is very beautiful. So, Noelle, you know what I mean, right? But I'm kind of liking Noelle for her. And like I said, Noelle at the center is a very fit and beautiful blonde hair, blue eye, and she's like really tall, like a model, and she's really quite beautiful. So we mean this to be complimentary to our Noelle. Noelle, Noelle. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of a off-white again and give Noelle some. Let's give her a little shadow here. Give her a little shape like the real Noelle. Okay, then a little bit more over here, a little bit more over here, and I think Noelle is really shaping up here. Let's give her a little nostril stuff going on here. Okay, a little highlight over here from Miss Noelle. I'm going to take a smaller brush and this brownish color right around the edge here. I'm going to add a little bit of darker here, which is a little bit different than what's here. But what I think when I look here is that the edge of her body kind of gets lost in the painting, and maybe that was the artist's idea, but I'd like to bring it out just a little bit more, just maybe like that. There we go. Okay, so and you might have some ideas of your own and say, well, gee, that looks okay, or Joan did is okay, but I think I'll do such and such. All right. And you should always follow your inner guidance. And if you want to do such and such, that's exactly what you should do. I'm going to take this, just run it along the edge of Noelle here. There we go. There you go, honey. Well, she's just a beauty. Ah, let's get her here, there. I have to tell you, Noelle, you are looking good, baby. There she goes. Really, Noelle? Okay, let's. Okay, so our cow, she's kind of blackish, brownish in color, certainly. So I think we'll do this little moppy contour here first. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so again, I'm going to get into this brown a little bit here, like this. And I'm going to put right on top of her head, right here. little moppy. Okay. Your little hairs up there. Okay. So I think we'll do one right here. And after that's on there, let's just kind of get some hair on here. Love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of the dark down here. Just whip it right along this edge a little bit. So we can see her do. Aha! Well, I personally think Noelle will love this. There we go. And let's get some highlights. Well, nothing wrong there. Liking it, liking it, liking it. Okay, let's work around these little nostrils in there. I'm actually going to take a little bit of my yellow, put it out on my palette, and I'm going to clean off this hard paint like that. Okay, so this, I'm going to use this dark, this umber, not the darkest one, and I'm going to do the nostrils here. Okay, so for nostrils, see, we want to do her nostrils. She has a little bit of a hairy area right here. Hairy, hairy, hairy. I'm just gonna pull some of that up. Okay, using my smallest brush. I'm putting some little hairy strokes in there. Okay, now I'm actually going to take some of that yellow. Okay, just a little bit of the yellow here, like this. And we're going to kind of go around her nose, just a little bit here and here. Just kind of accents her little nostrils. And I'm going to put some right in the nostrils. Okay, and then I'm actually going to take a little bit of my really dark brown, the brown that doesn't have any orange or yellow in it. Okay, and I'm going to put that in the nostrils. Now, when you do that, you immediately give them depth. Okay. Okay, so take a look at those little nostrils. Right? Now we need some hot cocoa. We're going to go ahead and now start to do some of the face and the ears. Okay, so again, mostly dark brown and black certainly. So I'm going to put some black out on my palette. Not whole bunches of black, but oops, it's really coming out of there. Okay, let's do that. And I'm going to take my medium-sized brush, I think. Same one I used to apply the white. I'm going to clean it off. Now, I did swish it in the water first, so I don't want her to be gray. I do want her to be white. I want her to not be white. I take that back. But I want her to be brown and black. Okay, so I'm going to take the brown first, right? And I'm going to go right here with it. All right, so put in her brown. Okay, I'm going to be really careful here. And around her eyes, I'm going to go a teensy bit lighter. Okay. So around the eyes and any place we have some small detaily type things, we want to take our time, go slow. Okay. Now, like I say, I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller brush here since I'm having a problem with my big brush. So let's go smaller here. Plus, painting sideways has its own fun challenges. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's go like this. And I want to come down here. And again, be careful down here. Okay, so we're getting a cow ready here. All right, she comes down this way. Right? And I'm going to take the teeth. I'm going to try to pick up some of this color again. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to try mixing a little bit of that color again because I'm thinking right around that eye area, we want to lighten her up just a tad. There we go. Now you can really see her eye. Okay, so let's get that in there. She has a little bit of light underneath the eye. There we go. There we have it. Okay, so again, if you don't have brown, you want to mix red and green together. That will give you brown. And if you're going to paint with any consistency, think about having some paint in stock for yourself. Be very cool. Okay, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of my black at this point and go close into the face here. Okay, I'm going to run right along that line, I think. Okay, so we have what we end up with is a nice, rich color here. She is beautiful. She is a beauty babe. Okay, so again, the black right down into here. Okay, pick up a little brown, mix that in. There we go. She's a looking good. Okay, there's a tedious spot on, on the white where I don't necessarily dip. So again, once the paint is wet, okay, you can actually pick that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that with a Q-tip or anything else that you want to use. Okay, let's do that for now. And then at some point, we can go over that with a teensy bit of white. So, so the message here certainly is if you happen to make a mistake, do not panic. There's usually a way to fix it, just like that. Okay, so let's do that. All right, so let's do her ear. Okay, oh, before we do her ear, let's grab some of this lighter brown, or if you don't have that lighter brown, go ahead and put a little bit of orange or yellow, and yellow on in the paint, and just we just want a little bit of highlight on our girl. There she is. Nice. Nicer, nicer, nicer. Okay, so we want to come here, around here, under here. Okay, and then we start going into our flowers, our sunflowers. Okay, so let's stop right about here. Okay, good, 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 good. All right, let's do her ear. Let's do this ear. And I'm gonna put some black between her ear and her head because we need to see where her ear begins and her head kind of stops. We need to know the difference. Okay. Okay. So clean any excess black off your brush and go back to your deep brown. finish the ear. Okay, cool. Okay, we're going to give a little bit of wispiness at the bottom of her ear. I'm also painting my Coco. Okay, so again, I'm going to mix this lightish brownish color in here. Okay, and we're going to put it here on her ear. Okay, I'm cleaning off my brush. Okay, and I'm going to pull this up and around. Okay, now you don't have to get fancy. Okay, we just need a little highlight. I'll highlight on her ear. Go. Let me see. Let's pull this way. Just a tad, just a tad. Nice. Give her a little darker in here. A little bit of light in here. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm looking at my handout most of the time. Okay, and let's bring this down here. Right. Okay. Now, let's let this dry out a little bit, and then might go ahead and put a little bit more highlight. We'll see. We'll see what we really need here. So very lightly in there. There we go. I'm liking that here. Okay, let us do the other side. Dark brown. Carefully, carefully through here. Okay, and I'm resting my baby finger up against the canvas when I need to in order to support my hand. Like nice smooth strokes in here. Move this a little bit closer to me. There we go. There we go. Again, we're going to lighten up around this eye. Very carefully. When you get around the edges here, go slow, do it carefully, right? If you want to turn your canvas upside down, by all means, turn your canvas upside down. The hand actually has a very small comfort zone, and you always paint better, of course, when your hand is in its comfort zone. Okay, so we're going to come down around here like this. Eye, like this. Come around here for her. And then we're gonna fade off a little bit here. Okay, so let's get her strokes in correctly. Yeah, so we have good coverage. There we go. Okay, same as before. I'm gonna pick up some black. Pick up some black on the same brush, and I'm gonna run it along this inner edge of her face. Okay, that's giving us a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Okay, good, good. So we want some really good coverage here. Okay. If anything looks streaky, go ahead, fix it. You don't want her streaky. We want her beauteous. Okay, and a little bit more brown to the ear, I think. Oops. Oh, that's on. Paint on the floor. All right. So let's, she has a little bit of brown down here. Okay. And this actually is going to, it's going to be a flower petal there, but let's put this brown in anyway. Okay, because that's kind of like where her body's going. Okay, and then we're going to have petals in the front of her. So you're going to kind of develop a little X-ray vision here. Same thing, pick up the lighter brown and give her a little contrast in through here. We like it. So she has a lot of good contrast on her. All right, so I'm going to take this lighter color once again, and again, we're going to do her eye, look her eye, which looks like it comes down like this here and creates a little bit of a lid for her. Let's do a little bit on this side too. All right. Let's give her a little bit more on this side. There she goes. Now she's looking good. Now she's looking good, baby. Okay. So let's do her ear. Okay, lighter part of the ear is here. So we can just give ourselves a little bit of a guide there. We can go over this one a little bit more now that it's dry. We're going to pick up mostly brown in through here. To her ear. Okay, I'm going to dip into the black here to do up against the side of her head because we need to be able to see where the ear starts and her head ends, right? There we go. There we go. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of this lighter color and same thing that we did over here, we're going to do on this side. And kind of drag it up in through there. Give it a nice light highlight. Take a little bit of this light down here. So let's drag it over just a tad here. Drag it over here. Nice. And we're going to give some darker underneath here. Give the ear depth. We're going to get cleaner paper towels. I'll be making a mess. Okay. So let's blend this in just a tad over here. There we go. A little bit more black over here. A little bit more light over there. A little bit here, a little bit there. Okay. She is looking so good. All right. So her eyes, I'm going to say her eyes are black. Okay. Let's make her eyes black. We can always put the highlight in afterwards. Put her eyes in. Okay, and use a small brush, the smallest one you have. Will give you a little bit more control in here. Bring these eyelashes down and out. A beauteous girl. Eyelashes. Okay, so she has a little bit of highlight. I'm going to actually take the lighter brown first and give her a little highlight here. And here. Okay. So the darker highlight first to just kind of round out the eye a little bit here and here. Okay. Now let's go around this eye like this and around the bottom too. Like okay, now we're gonna go ahead and put the shiny highlight in. Okay. Little highlight around the bottom, from the bottom, right here. Oop, too much paint on that brush. Right around here. Okay, so let's leave her for now. Yeah, because I think she's looking pretty ding dang dong good right now. Right? Nice. Okay, let's try to. Okay. Okay, that looks better. That's a looking better. All right. So the other thing we want to do is we want to do this part of her. And again, I am so not sure what this is called. Looks like a little Hitler mustache. Yeah. So let's put that in. We're going to stop just short of the bottom, I guess. Yeah. Oops. My brushes roll around on the floor. Okay, so this is actually going up into here, like this, coming from each nostril like that. As I'm looking at this, kind of, take a good look at that handout because this is it's actually wider than I thought. So take a look and see. we go. She's looking very much like a cat. Right. So now we are ready for her flowers. So I'm going to clean my medium brush off. And I actually clean it quite good because now I want to switch over to yellows and oranges and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm even going to switch palettes again. Okay, this, my water. But these flowers, okay, now the rest of the canvas is actually going to be these flowers. Okay, so we're going to give ourselves some guidelines for these flowers. And because I outlined in black over here, it is going to be quite a challenge. Unless I put white over them first, that might work. Let's try it and see. Aha! Where there's a will, there is such a way, isn't there? Okay. All right, so this one is actually coming from behind her. So we're going to put that one there. And again, I'm not advising that you put white there. I'm just trying to cover my outline. Ta-da! All righty. Okay, so now comes the fun part. Fun part is putting in all of these flowers. Now, there's this big one right here, okay, right here, which comes up here like this and around her like this. She actually has her little face in it. Okay, but I'm gonna go ahead and this flower, actually, it's a really big one. Takes up most of the canvas actually. It's a really big flower. So, do you have to be exact with these? Of course not. And I'm gonna put in a really big one right here in the foreground. So I'm doing this first because I just kind of want to know where they are. So again, it's more a matter of giving myself guidelines. So let's turn it this way a little bit. And I'm going to take a new palette and put orange on it. Again, if you do not have orange, you will want to mix red and yellow. I'm putting a lot of orange out on my palette at this point. Okay, because for right now, I'm thinking shape. Okay, let's do that. So I really want this kind of orangey here. So I'm going to go ahead and put in some orange. Like if I find the middle, which is right about here, right, then I'm going to go ahead and put this orange in. Okay, and I need more yellow. Okay, because I really want them, I mean, they want to be a nice deep yellow, but yeah, yellow. Okay. So again, pretty much looking for shapes, petals. And feel free to turn your picture around. Petals here. So if you're using kind of a round brush and you work from the outside in, then they kind of make their own petals. Right. Yet again. So again, my middle is right about here. Keep losing my middle. Here, here, here. Okay, so the idea is to get some of the orange on there, but we do want it to look like kind of a golden yellow flower here. Okay, so there's one. Let's do another one kind of behind it, like right here. And so there's going to be my middle. So I'm going to go here, here. Okay. The background ones really should be done first. Okay, so that this won't happen. Right. So we have this little guy back here, which we're still working on trying to get him in. Right, there is another way back here. This one's not touching, but it could touch. It would be okay. Okay, so we're just painting these on here right now. Okay, and we can put some finishing touches on them afterwards. So the little baby one back here. There we go. Baby one's back there. There's a big one down here. Okay, good. Right? So kind of golden yellow. And I mean, color wise, you can make them any color you want. Kind of like them different so that they have different shapes and colors to them. Okay, so we have this big one down here. We have another one over here. Middle looks like it's right there. Gotta go this way, this way. Okay, and if one goes behind the other, that's okay. Goes in front, that's okay. Now we just want these nice happy flowers here. It's sunshine. Someone told me that sunflowers, called sunflowers, because they look to the sun. The sun's out. When the sun is not out or in the evenings, they look to each other for energy. So how cool is that? So I was like, oh, okay, I like it. Okay, so I'm kind of moving this towards me a little bit more, so it's a little bit easier to paint, but I will move it back. We'll move it back. Ta-da. Okay. Okay, so I have this guy right here. sunflower, and I can still see my pencil mark. So you can see it on this one too. I'm going to go ahead and wipe these out a little bit. You will not have to do that because you should not have paint marks. Okay, I just did that so you could see. All right, so we're putting in these sunflowers. There's one right near his little head. Yeah, her little head. Cows are girls. Okay, just kind of making flower shapes here at this point. Okay, and as you can see, yellow is not as strong a color as brown is. So the way to work with that is to actually white it out first, okay, and then go over it with the yellow. Okay, same thing here maybe. All right, so let's see, there's a little guy there, a little guy here. Um, my canvas is bigger than the handout. So I'm going to actually end up having extra flowers, which is a-okay with me. Okay, any places where the yellow is not covering, do white over it first. Okay, and then you will have it made in the shade, as they say. Okay, my big guy right here. All right, let's put another one here. Okay, a little bit of white on that darker part. Let's bring this one up just a little bit so they're not all the same size. Good, good. I like it. Right. There's a big, huge one here, right about there. There's another one here. There's another one here. Okay. Another one here. Right. And again, some people made their flowers bigger, some made them smaller. However you made yours is okay. Right? So we're going to just make enough flowers to fill in our canvas and make sure our cow is happy, happy. Okay, so we're kind of going with this starburst kind of shape here. And like I said, if you're kind of using a rounded brush, kind of get petal shapes already. And then when we go ahead and add a little bit more contrast to them, they're already kind of in their shapes. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of orange. Okay, this guy here's its middle. It's crisscrossing, and then crisscross again and again. Okay, so background. Maybe not. Maybe we are going to end up getting that dark certainly, but maybe not quite yet. Okay, but I do want to see the background from the foreground. But let's hold off on that for now. Okay, and get our flower shapes in here. All right, so the you want to kind of give yourself an idea, like which flowers are in the front, which ones are in the back. Okay, I'm going to take this off the canvas because this is, take it off the easel, I should say. Okay, right, and I'm going to go ahead and do this side, I think, this side. Okay, and this I'm going to put some white on to cover the blue underneath. Okay, so again, if you have, we're putting light colors over the darker colors. So if you see some of the blue behind there, get a little white on there. All right, take and let's take care of that. Let's take care of that there. Okay, this is behind our cow over this one is. So that's, I'm gonna put a little white here because we're on the blue. So we want to cover that. Okay, good, 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 good. This middle flower, this one right here, so pretty. It's big, it's huge. So maybe get a lot of detail in that one at some point. Okay, so I'm looking at this picture. It does have some browns and whatnot in between, but we want to not have quite that much brown showing. So I'm going to go ahead and make these flowers a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, and again, we want the flowers in this picture are kind of a really golden color. I have some sunflowers near my house that are not that color. They're more of a pale yellow color. So my point is that there's really not a wrong way to do this. You are the creator and you can do them any way your heart desires. I had some children in here painting and their sunflowers weren't even yellow. So there you have it. And they're like, well, is that okay? And I said, it's absolutely okay. You are the creator, and you can make them any color you want because you are the creator. So, so fear not, create. I mean, let's face it. I just, people say to me, "Oh, I started so late in life, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be a good artist." Well, first of all, I don't, you don't have anyone to compete with. Are you trying to get your stuff in a gallery, win awards? What's your goal? If you're just doing this for the fun of it, absolutely do not worry about a thing and have a blast. Have a blast. This whole pandemic situation, there's been a lot of awful stuff going on, but everything has its plus side to it. And what I'm finding is people are now they have the time to kind of explore their um, their interests, their other interests and stuff. Absolutely, absolutely go for it. And like I said, you're not in a World Cup competition or anything. Just just having some fun, just doing some stuff, having some fun. Okay, so I'm actually looking to maybe I could do that pot brown. But let's put let's make it yellow. Let's put another flare back there. Okay, so like I say, even though we don't mind some brown going on in between these flowers, kind of don't want a bunch of brown. Yeah. We have enough brown on our Noel on our Noel cow. Okay, the little guy way back here. I'm gonna go ahead and do him white. Do him some white. Okay. So she's just really, this cow, I look at her and she's really just playing in the flowers. And do some of my edging. Okay, get some more yellow on here. Actually, let's just put some here, as if there's some kind of coming from below here. That would be a good way to solve our too much open spaces issue. There we go. And I'm thinking that's pretty cool the way it is. So let's go ahead and I think we'll do the brown in between there. So I just want to make sure our fleurs are beauteous as can be. And if they are not as beauteous as can be, okay, you can let them dry out a little bit and then redo them. You can actually, like I said, there's still some kind of blues and stuff showing through some of these flowers. And so again, do them white first. You're just kind of priming them at that point. Prime your flowers. Okay, there we go. Okay, so she's really just playing in these flowers. Okay, so I'm still seeing a little bit more of the blue in here. And blue and yellow, as I said earlier, makes green. So we're getting a little bit of green in our flowers, which is not such a bad thing. It's not a horrible thing. Okay, now, while this is wet, okay, let's get a little bit of this brown going on over here. Okay, I'm gonna mix it with the yellow. Okay, so that it's not a really dark value. Okay, and I want to kind of get in between these flowers a little bit. Oh, actually, that's pretty color for the actual flowers. Cool. Okay, so for beside the flowers in here, we want to go a bit darker here. Okay, that looks good for the actual petals. Cool. All right, so again, for over here, let's go a little bit darker. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so we're looking to create some contrast in through here. Okay, and typically backgrounds are done first, right, for a very good reason, because you're having to paint around things, which is not the funnest thing in the world to do. But if we do this while the paint is wet, you could actually get away with it. And that's why I didn't want to leave a lot of empty spaces as well. Okay, so let's go around here like this. Right, and take my small brush here and kind of work with these shapes a little bit. Okay, right, because remember you have petals here. So we want to begin to shape some of those petals. Make it some shapes. And keeping in mind that, you are going to have petals going on here. And again, this is if this is a little intimidating, don't worry about it. We can, at the very least, you can always redo the yellow if this brown gets in the way. But let's go ahead and put it in because you'll get some really nice contrast in here. Okay, and that was the reason also for not leaving like a lot of brown. So a lot of space rather, so that we have this kind of cool control going on here. Okay, let's get this in here a little smoother. Smoother into here. To our edges. Good. So nice contrast, and we'll focus more on the shapes after we get this in. But this is probably the easiest way to do this. We hope. Okay, so let's get this in here. Okay, looking good, looking good. Okay, I like the way it looks in there. So I'm actually gonna put a little bit in here, a little bit. Okay, we won't need anywhere else. Let's look at our go. It's not too much. It's not too much going on over there. Let's put a little over here. Okay. Let's do just a bit over here. Okay, so I don't want to do too much of the brown because a lot of these flowers are going to have brown in them anyway. Okay, so we want to kind of not have too much there. So let's think about this here for now, right? And eventually they'll all kind of have those centers in them. And then they're going to start really looking like sunflowers, baby. Okay. Now, let's continue on. So we're going to go ahead and let let's let these flowers dry out just a little bit. And while they're doing that, if there's anything else on your cow that you'd like to go ahead and work on, go ahead and work on her. And let me, like I say, stop your recording if you need to, and um, let this dry just a little bit so that we can go ahead and put in some of this detail in here. Okay, so all of this brown into here is relatively dry. Okay, and again, some sunflowers are very yellowy like this, and like I said, the ones in my house are actually relatively faded like this. So this picture that we're kind of working from has all the same kind of color flowers, or the same shades of flowers. Kind of thinking maybe let's mix them up a little bit because we can. Okay, so what I'm doing is putting this yellow, and sorry for the rude comment here, but that, that yellow is almost empty. Okay, so I'm going to take a medium brush, if I can find one. I have so many brushes out now. Sometimes you're better off having a limited amount of brushes. And because this is a tutorial, rather than go ahead and take out the time to clean the brushes, I'm actually just getting clean brushes instead of cleaning the ones I'm already using. Okay, so with a sip of our hot cocoa, let us go. Okay, so before we can put these dark circles on, or the center of the flowers into here, we want to go ahead and finish these flowers. All right, so I think what I would like to do here is not only put the yellow, I'd like to have like a dab of orange on there, and my warmer brown, which in this case is burnt sienna. But again, if you don't have a warm brown, you can use any brown that you have and just add some yellow or red to it, and that will totally warm it up. Okay, so what we're looking for here is this kind of golden color in here. And I'm actually going to do the background flowers first. So I am, let me see if I can show you what I'm doing. I'm dipping in the yellow here and kind of loading the brush with the yellow. And now, before where I was just kind of really just kind of gooping it on there, now I'm going to be a little bit more careful about what I am doing. Okay, and let me see if I can get this a little closer to you for the first couple anyway. All right, so I'm using a round-headed brush, and before, like I said, I was just kind of getting the color on there. But see how these now are beginning to look like petals. Okay, so we want to kind of get that in there. And again, background petals first. Okay, a background petals first, but background flowers first also. Okay, so let's get these babies in there. All right, so some Awesome sunflowers here. Now, at this point, if you really wanted to like make some really golden yellow, some kind of light yellow, at that point you could take a little bit of your yellow, take a little of this orange. Let me see here. Let's get some orange. And if your orange is too dark or light, okay, if it's too dark, add some yellow to it. If it's too light, add some red to it. Right? You're always in control here. So I'm going to take a little bit of orange here, a little bit of yellow, because I think, see how orangey that is? That might be too orangey for now. Okay, so let's go even just a little more gentle here. And and if you look at this handout, the shading here is right around, it's close to the center. All right, so maybe let's try a little bit smaller brush, okay, because this is a relatively small flower, right? And I'm going to put some color in there. Okay, so the color nearest the center of the flower is a little bit darker. Okay, now you can go ahead and do each petal if you want to, or you can just accent the middle here. Okay? And don't forget, you're going to have a rather big center on here, right? So you want to pull them out, pull them out to at least halfway, maybe more. Okay, so that one is going to have a little bit of that going on. This this little tiny one way back where I'm going to use all of just the dark in here. And once again, now I'm being a little bit more careful about my petal work where before I was just putting down color. But now you can see I'm actually doing petals here. Okay? So, and I want to work the background. Definitely work the background first. All right. So, can you still see me? Yeah, you can. You can. All right. So I'm going right to the middle here. Okay. And these are all background flowers. And behind the cow even. Okay. So I'm kind of liking this. And again, I'm pulling them almost all the way out because I'm being very cognizant of the fact that I am going to have a really dark center. Now, what you can do is I've been using this here, but you can also go right into your yellow, okay, and draw them down this way as well, right? So again, think petals now. Before we were thinking shapes and color. Now we're thinking petals, baby. Okay. And you can even take a little of this color here, and we want to really mix it in there. You don't want it to be too dark quite yet. Okay. So I'm going to pull this out. This is big, this is my big flower right here in the center. I just want to make sure there's nothing else behind it here yet. Okay. Because again, we definitely want to work the background petals first, and I'm going to use all the different colors that I have here on my palette. And once again, being cognizant of the fact now that I want to have petals. I want them to be a little bit more well defined than when I was just putting them on there. putting the color on. Okay. So I'm really taking my time putting these on. And this is, I understand that this is a rather long tutorial. Okay, so don't feel like you have to do it all in one sitting. You absolutely do not. Okay, I'm going to put a little color down here, picking up a little bit more color in through the center here. Right, so this is a pretty big flower, so we're going to put a little bit more detail on it because it's right in front of the viewer. Okay, and once again, be cognizant of the fact that you want a petal here. So I'm actually going to put a little highlight on this petal as I'm creating it here. There we go. That way I can see the petals. And I have to say, I'm having fun. I am going to just sit myself right down and continue on. Okay, right, so this petal, let's do that. This, I have to say, this is, I really enjoy the whole thing, but this is fun. This is making me happy. I'm happy, happy. Okay, now this big flower is in front of this little guy. So we're going to focus on the petals of this big flower, which again is in the front. Okay, and I'm actually taking and just kind of mixing different um, types of paint here, different colors, different values. Again, not a wrong way to do this, kids. Not a wrong way at all. Have a good time. Build your petals. You got the color on there. So now let's focus on the petal work. Ah, liking it, liking it, liking it. Okay, I'm gonna pick out just some of my regular yellow down here. Again, any petal that needs a little help with its shape. Now is the time to do that. Okay, this petal is going to be behind this forward flower. So you're always going to be kind of cognizant of what's going where here. Right? And you decide, I'm going to not bring that all the way down because that flower is in the front. But I'm going to go ahead and mark these petals. And actually, you don't even have to do this part. If you just like the kind of loose look of the petals and the flowers, the way that they were, absolutely leave them like that. Remember that this, my darlings, is your creation. Okay? So this flower, now that I'm looking at the screen that you're seeing, maybe it's a little bit darker in here. So I'm going to go work somewhere else, and after that dries, I may go ahead and put a little highlight on there. Now let's try a little white on there now and see what happens. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad, but I think we'll dry a little and then put some highlights on here. Very cool. Nice. Okay, so I'm like potty in here. Potty. Life is too short not to party hardy. Okay, let's take, and I want you to put in some of the middles over here. Um, this one, this one is overlapping that one. So let's go ahead and kind of put that one in. And what I want to do is take my darkest brown and just dab my brush in there so that the brush is loaded. And then I'm going to dab here. Okay, now I realize that that's pretty dark. Okay, and I want to keep it dark, and then I'm going to dab the light over it. Okay, so give us a nice full middle here. Right, and remember that these are the smaller flowers in the back. Okay. I'm going to create a nice little circle there. Okay, and I'm going to put one right here. Ta-da! Look at how exciting that is. Okay, this guy is a little bit bigger. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the center here. And I'm going to dab around this outer circle. Okay, and I'm dabbing because I would love to see some texture here. Okay, so let's go ahead and dab. A little dab will do us. Okay. So dabbing here, let me look at this head on so I can see if I actually have it round. Okay. I'm getting used to painting sideways. But when you're doing something like this, probably you want to take a good look at it. Okay. So these are the only flowers that are really ready to have their centers done. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to take a paper towel. I'm not going to wash this brush. I'm just going to take the excess dark brown off of it. Then I'm going to go into the brown that I lightened up. Okay, so if you had dark brown and you lightened it up with, and actually maybe I'll even lighten it up even more by putting some yellow in here. Maybe a little orange. That looks kind of cool. Okay, so I'm making this kind of really nice warm kind of brown in here, and that's my friends is where it's going to go here. Right, and maybe even a little bit more yellowy. Okay, let's see. That's kind of cool. Let's get a little bit more color in there. So all I did was dab in my orange, just dabbed right on top of that. Okay, it's not quite as bright as I was hoping it would be. So now I'm going to take some yellow and dab over that. And that, my friends, do the trick. There we go. Very, very cool. And we can allow that to dry a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit darker in the center. Darker there. And we're going to let that dry a little bit and see what we see. Okay, so I'm going to go again with this yellowy. I want it nice and bright, I think. Okay, and I'm going to go here, this middle like this and this, and like this and like this. Okay, so that being the case, after this dries just a tiny bit, we can put some dark brown in there. Okay, again, just kind of wiping off the brush here. See, we're still we are still recording. This is such a long tutorial. I just want to make sure I didn't lose you guys. Okay. So I'm going to take and put a dot of dark brown in the middle. There. Okay. There we have it. So that's going to be the procedure here, right? So let's go back to, and this flower is behind this one. So we are going to work on it. And I did not wash off my brush because I kind of liking the color that's in the brush, and I want it to translate onto my canvas. Okay. So here, and if you remember, we we primed this with white paint because it had to cover over the dark. So now we can get well-defined petals if we want them. Remember that you're always in control here. Sometimes you might not feel like you're in control, but you are. Everything is up to you. Okay, now I'm going to take and do the same thing. I'm going to do the dark brown first, I think. I'm going to go around here with the dark brown. Right, and this is just a dabbing technique. Then I'm going to pick up some of the orange, go in here, pick up some of the yellow, and kind of merge with my orange. Okay, and then I am going to go back to my dark brown and do the center. Okay, and again, after that kind of dries out a little bit, we can play around with that a little bit more. But say, give it some time. Let's dry out. A lot of paint on this picture for sure. Okay, smooth out some of these little guys that are drying out a little bit. Okay, and once again, clearing out my brush. Okay, and like I said, some of these you can absolutely, now because there's back petals over there, let's go ahead and make this a little bit different value so we can see the ones in the front a little more clearly. Okay, so just changing the values. And changing the value means we're just changing the hue or the color a little bit more. And I just wanted them to show up more. If I made these petals exactly the same color or value as the ones behind it, you could still see them perhaps, but this way you can see them even better. Okay, so I'm picking up just a little bit of my orange and making this one in the front a little bit of more golden hue. Okay, and again, being very cognizant of the fact that I now want to be able to see some petal work, petals in my fleurs. Okay, as I come over to this flower, these petals are darker than those petals. So now I'm going to reverse myself and do these petals a little bit lighter over here. Right, so once again, I'm changing the value of the foreground flower, and basically, or more specifically, the petals. Okay, so now I'm adjusting myself. All right, so these petals are darker, okay, because they're up against a lighter background here, which you may want to do the other way around, make the background darker, which is more typical. But this picture is your baby. You may do whatever you like. Okay. You take a little bit of the lighter brown or the burnt sienna. Okay. I'll call it that. And I'm going to just coax some of, pull some color out here. Just a little bit. Okay, bearing in mind that I haven't done my center quite yet. Okay, so I'm going to pull it out quite a bit so that my center doesn't get lost in the sun. Okay, and while that paint is wet, it's a really, really awesomely good time to go ahead and blend if you're going to blend. Okay? And again, keep in mind, this does not have to be um, totally realistic. It actually, like I said, there's some flowers around my house are actually more those colors. But for the sake of this picture, I love the contrast that we're getting by putting the darker flowers there. Okay. All right. Once again, darker, darker. Okay. Go around here. Do this. And actually, this may be better. And then go ahead and dab so that we get a little texture going on here. Right? Then we're going to go to the orange and the lighter brown into here. Let's do that into here like this. And go ahead and dab it out. And I'm going to pick up some yellow so I can get it even more beauteous. And I'm going to go to my dark brown and do my center. Okay, so look what's happening. We're having so much fun here. Okay, looky look. All right, so now, again, I'm looking for background flowers here. So I'm going to go, this flower is in the back. This one's definitely in the back. Okay, so let's clean off this brush. Right, and again, let's be cognizant, and let me see if I can reach over here, of making petals. In this case, kind of dark petals. Right, so I'm going to lighten them up a little bit, but again, very, very cognizant of the fact that I'm looking for petal shapes here. Okay, all right, so now let's forge ahead. This one's in the back. Let's do this one. Okay, shapes, petal shapes. Yeah. And again, this one is behind this. These two are behind this middle one. So I'm actually going to kind of focus in that area. Making petals here. All right. This is also in the back. Or if it wasn't, it is now. Okay. All right, so let's do big flower right there. There we go. Here we go. Okay. So the more I'm finding, the more color variations I get in here, the more I'm liking it. Once again, this video is going to be quite long. I'm not sure how long because I actually stopped it for about. I had a class come in, so I actually stopped it to do the class. So, but I'm sure I will be able to tell eventually how long it is. Right? So I'm putting my petals in here. Okay, those are kind of cool petals going on here. All right, this flower has something on it. Right, this flower is behind this one. So here's my middle. Okay, petals, think petals. Okay, pick up a little color if you want your petals to be a little bit different. Okay, this one, if I paint out over that one, will be on the top. Okay, so again, you kind of have the freedom here to do what you want. And just ran out of paint, so let's give us some more paint. Ta-da. Okay, let's do some more paint here. And again, let's think of some petals, petal work here. So I want this to look like a petals. Now, this flower is going to have to go over this one because we have that brown area in there, which means that there's uh, darkness back there. There's another flower here. Pull the petals. This one's definitely in the back. I want to give it a little bit more, to this. This cow is playing in these flowers. That is totally awesome. Okay, so I don't want to lose my foreground petals here. So I'm just gonna, after I do these petals right here, I'm going to go ahead and redo this one because I'm putting it over this one. Okay. All right. This before, let me see. It's a lot of flowers here. Okay. So now, before we put the top flowers on, let's go ahead and put in our centers here. So have a center there, center here. Make this kind of bigger, I think. All right, have a center here. And center in this beauteous sunflower right here. To have one here, little guy. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and dab them so that again, I actually like them better. They have a little bit of texture kind of going on here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do our yellowy orange mixture. Oh, let's do a little bit more orangey, or even our lighter brown. Yeah, that's pretty. That's kind of pretty. Let's do that. Okay. And I'd be willing to venture that the different color flowers would have maybe slightly different centers. In there, and I'm sorry if my big head's in the way. I will move it out of the way. Okay, so now we have some centers. I'm going to go back into my dark brown, and I'm on this little guy. We're just going to kind of touch the centers here, the little ones. Big ones, we're going to pay a little bit more attention to. That guy we need to, oh, this one, forgot all together. Get in there. All right. Okay. So, what do you think? This is so cool. All right, so I still have a little brown on my brush. So I'm actually thinking of brushing some brown in here. Just a little bit. Giving us a little bit of, like I said, a little bit more color here. kind of nice. This guy is going to be in the front, so let's do this. Give this guy a little bit more color, a little bit more pizzazz. And these two are kind of merging over here. Let's do the same thing here. I'm actually going a little bit into my lighter brown color, and over here I want to define some of the petals a little bit more. There we go. And again, this big flower is going to be in the front, but we can still define this part. Oh, too much trouble, too much to do. All right, all right. So now I'm looking at this brown spot, not necessarily liking it. So I'm going to cover it with white. And the goal here is when the white dries, I will put some yellow over there. So whatever I had in mind for over there, I just either changed my mind, missed it. Okay, so I'm gonna actually get some, again, some white here. Let's pick up some white, and I'm gonna put a petal there now, and a petal here. Okay, and this petal is gonna be on top of it. But we're gonna let this dry a little bit. Okay, kind of using that white as a primer at this point. Okay, so let's do this guy. And once again, okay, cognizant of the fact that we're now making petals. As you can see, I put my brush in the orange. This is a forward flower, okay, which means it's in the front. So I want it to be different than the others. Okay, and again, I need to make sure I see actual petals now, because this is a flower that's in front of these other flowers here. So I want a little bit more definition as far as the petals go. Okay, let's get a little bit in here like this. I'm going to put a teensy bit of white on here just because I want to give it a little highlight. That would be a lot of highlight. Okay, so when you get too much of something, the idea, and I find with students is that they panic so easily. It's like, oh my God, I ruined my picture. And you really have not, okay? Acrylic paints are so very forgiving. They really are. Um, you know, as with this, okay, just gonna let it dry a little bit and then paint right over it. Okay, so you really can just have some fun here. Voila. So this flower is in front of this little guy over here. So once again, let's see. So a little bit of definition. I'm gonna dip into my lighter brown. Yeah. I want to see a petal there. I want to see a petal here and here. Okay. Let's get some petals going on here. Right. If they're not quite yellow enough, put some yellow in them. Okay. If your yellow is having a hard time getting onto the surface, let it dry a little bit. Same thing I'm doing here. Let it dry a little bit and then just paint right over it. Okay, let's do this big fleur. Isn't that beauty? All right, so this one is supposed to be in front of that one. So we're gonna make a big petal right there. This is going to be a big flower, as you may or may not have noticed. Okay, I'm going to pick up a little bit of orange in there so that my petals can be a little better defined. Okay, right. Again, this flower is in front of this back flower. So we have the darker petals in the back, which is fine. And we have these big petals in the foreground. Okay, now I titled this picture Cow. We could title it Cow and Sunflowers. Whoa, I got into red. You could call it uh, Cow and Sunflowers. You could call it Sunflowers. To me, even though the sunflowers are very eye-catching, I think Noel the cow is our is our focal point. Okay, and Noel, don't be getting mad at me. She's a beauteous cow. She's friendly. She's beautiful. She's a little sexy. She's good. Okay, so big petals here. We want to see them. Okay, we want to see those petals. All right. Now, this little guy, is it dry yet? We're getting there. We're getting there. So let's let him be. Okay. So this flower is in front of this flower. This flower is in front of this flower. So these two went on top of it. I think this guy should go on the top also because it's such a big area that I think we should make it another forward flower like this one. Okay. So let's define some petals here. Nice, nice. Okay, and we need some more yellow paint. There's lots of flowers. Yellow paint. The brand name on this is called Basics. Okay, Liquid, good brand names. Premier is a good brand name. All right, these paints are considered medium grade paints. All right, if you start getting into like you absolutely love it, you're going to paint these awesome professional paintings, and you maybe want to go into golden or some of those names. But student student grade paints are okay, but that saying that you kind of get what you pay for really, really is true when you're talking about art supplies. So, if you're just playing around and trying to figure out, do I like this? Do I not like it? Even at that, if you don't have half decent paints, you're not going to get a very realistic feel for the medium. Okay. So I'm going to say at least go, medium. Um, Having said that, I think any paints, I always tell students buy the best quality materials that you can afford. If that's Crayola, fine, get Crayola. It's better to it is better to use, whatever is at your disposal rather than not do it at all. Absolutely. Okay, so this forward petal, I'm going to take a little bit of white in here only because we have so many petals from so many different flowers that in order for us to define this as a flower in the foreground, it has to show up. It has to show up a lot more than it is right now. Okay, these guys here. All right, and that is also in the back. So let's put that in the back. So a little bit of our orange here, so we can see. So I'm using white for highlight. Okay, we're using the light brown certainly for contrast and shadow through here. Okay, so we have some really different values going on here, and we can really see, we can see these flowers. We don't want to lose, you know, these petals in here, you can't tell which flower they actually go to because the value of them or the color, shade, darkness, light, dark, too similar. Okay, so we're going to change that up a little bit. Okay, the hand has a very small comfort zone. So go ahead and move your canvas around. If your hand is not comfortable, you won't get the effect that you want. Okay, so I'm going to go a little darker here. I'm going to pick up some of my lighter brown and pull some of these petals on the bottom out. So the ones, you know, the closest to the middle of the flowers, middle of the flower is going to be the most, have the most color on it. Okay. And again, I really want to make sure we know that this petal is in the front. So we're going to take light brown. I'm calling it light brown, but it's really our warm brown. Yeah, there we go. Nice warm brown. All right, and this way, now we know which petals are going where. Okay, to highlight there. I'm going to put a little white right here and right here on this petal. So again, a little bit more definition. We know which petals go to which flower and which one is in front and which one is in the back. Okay, so let us go ahead and go into our dark brown, which we're going to need a little bit more of. And this dark brown is called umber, in this case, burnt umber. But any dark brown that you have is fine. And if the brown you have is not dark at all, let's say it's this color, go ahead and add some black to it. Okay. And that, my darlings, will definitely darken it up. Okay, so I'm playing a little bit more around some of these that I did earlier. Yeah. Okay, so let's go and do this bit right here. Okay, so we want the circle, certainly. Okay, and you could do a circle. You could kind of do this. Again, kind of liking the little bit of texture going on there. Okay, I'm gonna put some around here as well. Okay, and you can look at your handout. These centers are rather large on the sunflowers, kind of cool. I don't mean cool in temperature, I mean cool like awesome. Okay, so let's get these in here like that. Centers. Right now, I'm going to take excess paint off. And if they were smaller ones, I probably wouldn't even bother. But we're doing these large rings, so we want to have a little bit more color and control here. So this is I'm going to put a little bit more of the orange in here. There we go. Let's do that. And if you want to brighten it up even more, give yourself a little yellow in there. Let's do the orange. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of a lighter brown, sorry, lighter brown, and put that around there a little bit. Okay, that one actually has enough already. Then I'm gonna go back into a dark brown and put in my centers. Centers, center, center. Okay, and once those bit is dry, you can absolutely go in and play with them a little bit more. Okay. We can add a little bit more here. We can add a little bit more color here and there, right? So, you guys, we have one more down here, and it's a foreground flower. All right, so I need to clean this brush. I'm gonna clean it actually in the water because now I'm gonna go into my yellow. However, there's a lot of brown on the brush. So, like I said so far, rather than clean them, I've just been getting new brushes. However, I feel like this brush is doing a good job. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean it a little bit. That paper towel, which has a bunch of stuff on it. Okay, now I'm gonna pick this up a little bit. And again, cognizant of petal forms, shapes. Okay, and this is coming, actually going off of my canvas. You can't see the whole fleur. We have it. I'm going to pick up a little bit of my lighter brown. At least I thought I was. Okay. All right. And I want to just get some shape, a little bit of shape in here. There we go. Now we can see you. All right. So we don't want just lines in there. We want to blend these out a little bit. Okay. Gonna pick up a little bit of orange in here. Give my fleur some cool stuff going on here. Again, I'm stroking very uh, methodically because I want to make sure I see petals. I'll see petals. Okay, I'm going to put a teensy bit of white here because flower is in the foreground. So I want it to look like it's on top of this flower. Okay, and again, if you don't want a lot of detail, you absolutely can just brush on color here. Okay, so this little guy, I'm going to clean this brush, just not in the water. I'm just going to clean it, take the excess paint off of it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, dip into my dark brown, and I'm just going to make a little half circle here. because a lot of this flower is not in a sight, not in a line of sight. Okay, okay. Going to the orange and the lighter brown in here, and then the dark brown. Good. I just covered my dark brown, didn't I? Okay, so there's a lot of paint on here, so we're just going to kind of dab on here so you can see it. Okay, now, obviously, look at your picture and see any places that you'd like to, highlight, make some changes, anything on that idea. And we've been at this for a while, so you maybe want to give yourself a little bit of a break. Okay, but this is our cow, and we affectionately named her Noelle. Noelle the cow, because she's beautiful. I'm going to move her back a little bit. Here's our source picture document. Okay, as I'm looking at this, maybe lighten some of it up just a tad. We can lighten this up just a tad. Um, so, before everything kind of dries, you can get in there and do a little fix up work. Okay, and it doesn't have to be done like right this very moment. You can take a break. Take a break. Okay. All right. This is Noel the cow. Ah, close if I can get it. Okay. This is, like I said, our document here that we kind of inspired. Okay. Now, again, these pictures are inspirations that I found online. If you're doing it just for yourself, that's fine. Don't try to sell them and make $1,000,000 on them, or someone will not be happy with you. Okay, it's actually against the law for you to do that. Right? If you're doing just a project, a class project, a home project, you like cows, so you're going to go ahead and do it. That's fine, no biggie. Okay, um, but obviously you don't want to steal other people's idea. If in fact you do want to make something that you could sell and use and so on and so forth, then if you have a picture like this that absolutely inspires you, you could do the picture, but make sure that you have, I don't know. Um, I don't know that I read it legally, but lots of artists tell me that you have to have at least three significant changes. Okay, so in this picture, you could change the flowers, you could change the animal, put something different in there, you could certainly change the background in the sky. Okay, so in order to be sure that you make significant, go make five significant changes. Okay, um, so this picture, we're going to call her done. We're going to call Noelle the cow done. Okay, there she is. Again, you have questions about paints, about mixing, about canvases, about anything in the artistic realm, call me, Joni, 978-807-7608. Or if you just want to share, that would be cool. You could send me a picture. That's my cell phone number, so you can attach pictures to it. You can also attach pictures and questions to my email, which is jonissa@comcast.net. And it's JOAN as in Nancy, S as in Stephen, A at comcast.net. All right. As far as your needs, think about the people at the center. Okay, Drake Council on Aging. They, even though the center is not open for like projects and activities, um, the staff has been in the building. Okay, and you can call them, and whatever you need, if they cannot get the job done for you, they typically will know someone who can, or they'll know how to connect you to someone who can help you. All right, and so give them a call. I believe they're drakeitmass.org. All right, but you can Google or call them, So Drake Council on Aging in Drake, Massachusetts. All right, and they are also awesome enough that they let us share. They let us share these tutorials. So I have been sharing them with Great Haven Arts Association, which is showing them on their Facebook page and so on and so forth on their social media, so that people who are stuck home, in the pandemic, so and so, can you can have a Facebook group of your own and all work together. Also, sharing with Borica Access TV, batv.org. Okay, theirs is BATVINC, so it's BATVInc.org. All right, Greater Halo Arts Association is GHAA.art. All right, so you can get on there, and not only are they showing this stuff, they have a lot of other cool stuff going on too. So there are a lot of people out there who care about you, okay, and how you're doing and how to meet your needs. All right. And so by all means, call me, call them, share, so on and so forth, and help each other. All right. And until the next time I see you, because I have 3 more planned for you, be legendary. All right, kids. Bye for now.